Hey everyone, welcome back to Private Club Radio. I'm your host, Denny Corby, and in this episode, I have a interesting conversation with my new friend, Spencer Potter, over from the ClubGrub app. He and I got linked up a few weeks ago, and we were just chatting on the phone, and we found out we don't live too far away from each other. So we went out, we chit-chatted, went to dinner, had some drinks, and just had a really fun conversation. And what ClubGrub is, an app for clubs to use for mobile ordering, both for club pickup and for on the course. It's really cool. It has GPS technology, so your members, your golfers can order from the course, and the staff knows exactly where they're at with the GPS technology. So it's really, really cool to be able to go directly to the customers, and the app is super easy to use. User interface is cool, and the ability for upsells and boost and generate revenue and sales. Anyway, that's about the app, but we were just talking about really cool data, just things that they've learned, data trends that they've just seen throughout the past couple months, such as which holes get the most orders or the most frequent orders at which holes, most popular items, most popular drinks, most popular foods. We just talk about all that really fun, interesting data that they've gathered. And after pumping Spencer with a couple of drinks, I convinced him to give you all Private Club Radio listeners a killer offer on ClubGrub. So if you listen to the episode and you're interested, and if you don't listen to the episode, even if you're just interested in the product, for all Private Club Radio listeners, so if you mention Private Club Radio to Spencer over at ClubGrub app, you will get $500 off your first year, free activation, and a free iPad. So if you're interested, zero pressure phone call. It's a really, really, really neat system. Anyway, without further ado, welcome my friend, Spencer Potter. How recent is this data?
Yeah, so this is within this past 6 months or so.
Okay.
And the data shifts, right? The values continue to increase, right? Okay. The maximum order size, conversion rates are going up, revenue increases. We find the more we're rolling out our technology at different clubs, we're finding different optimization hacks and techniques to gain adoption quickly. And I think that's always the key. Anytime there's new technology, you kind of want to hit the ground running. I think if you just kind of like post up a few QR codes and don't tell anybody about it, you're not going to get any value from that, right? So there's a level of...
But that's marketing. Like, that's what you got to do, is put up the QR code and people are going to click it.
Yeah, well, they will, but there's got to be more than just the QR code, right? So there's a level of promotion that goes into it, and just awareness, right? It's like opening up any business. You can't just like open up a restaurant and not tell anybody about it and expect to be successful, right? There's a lot of businesses within a given business, particularly in the club industry. There's 5 or 6 different businesses that kind of operate in one, and so we have learned just different optimization, not only within the technology about how we onboard members and onboard clubs and how quickly we can get that first order in. That's really important, and making that first experience a positive one. And it's incumbent upon us as technology companies to make this transition into, modern golf experiences, modern club experiences, as easy as possible for everyone, and recognizing that members and staffs have different technological proficiencies, and just making this seamless as possible.
Yeah. No, these are just really fun stats. So I'm just going to start going through them, and then I think we'll just
let's do it.
I think it's just funny. And if you have any insight as to maybe why as well, if you guys have even thought about that. So
totally.
Popular stats. Okay, so through mobile ordering, the most popular whole numbers for orders were 3, 5, and 14. Why? if you even know, to me, like I can understand.
I have a theory.
Okay. Theory it out.
Yeah. So I think 3 and 5, I think if you golf, sometimes you go in, I think everyone golfs for different reasons, or even you golf on different days for different reasons. Some days you're like, hey, I'm really like training for like a tournament coming up, or it's just like a social day. Like, look, I just had a long week of work. I just need to get out and kill 3-4 hours and just like reset a little bit. Or some days you're going out there and you're like, okay, I'm I'm feeling good. I had a good session on the range. I think I'm going to score really well. And then the first few holes are like kind of blow up holes. You're like, all right, well, I guess it's not that kind of day today. So let's just resort to, let's get a couple drinks. I'm actually out here with a couple buddies or clients that I'm entertaining. And it's more going to be of a social round than it is like a competitive performance round. That's my theory on why that kind of sweet spot happens. I think the first few holes you're trying to dial in your game a little bit. That's one theory. I think also, sometimes maybe you're starting your round early and the first few holes aren't really conducive to heavy drinking or you're not hungry yet or whatever it is. And then you get out there, you're like, oh yeah, let's get some bevs in us. We're having a good round. Maybe we got a bet going on and, someone's got to pay up. So they got to order this time or something to that effect. And then, 14 seems to be like the second order. A lot of people order twice per round. So they'll do something on the front nine and then they're ready for a refill on the back nine. And that's usually where it happens. 13 would be like a close second for the back nine, the sweet spot for ordering.
That makes sense. So then if the popular hole number for order, so is that when they order or is that when they receive the order? So like, are they ordering at hole 3 and then they're getting it at like 4 or 5?
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly. It's the ordering hole.
Like
yep.
6, 7.
Yeah, so in the app, we don't actually ask for a whole lot of information, but when they're checking out, we ask for their current hole location, just in case their phone dies or something to that effect, and the clubhouse is not able to locate them. They can do the math and say, hey, 15 minutes ago they ordered on 3, they're going to probably be on 4 now, so we can just shoot out in that direction and make sure that member gets their order.
Gotcha. Most popular items. What's a transfusion?
Yeah, so transfusion it's been like this really popular like clubhouse drink for years, but it's just gained like this real like momentum in the last 2 years or so. It's basically it's pretty good. So it's vodka, your choice of vodka with like a grape juice, ginger ale or ginger beer, and a lime typically. So it's like this refreshing grape flavored drink, which I don't normally love grape stuff, but a good transfusion is pretty good. Yeah, so our app lets clubhouses offer more options now, which is awesome. Members can access more clubhouse type cocktails, whether it's craft beers, whether it's their specific brand of vodka or gin or rum or anything like that, and wines too. So it allows them to really access more than just a couple domestic beers and hot dogs. This is going to open up a whole experience for people.
And I thought this would have been higher. The top single order, $172. I thought that would have been more.
Well, this is just for on-course transactions, right? So people ordering dinners to go and stuff, it's well above that. So for on-course,
I was thinking like, so like when you say, when it's single order, is that like the whole time on the course, or is that just
no, like literally just like somebody hit one button, there was like 7 transfusions, couple chicken sandwiches, bunch of food and a ton of drinks. And then they ordered again later in that round. So you can get like over $300 in a round out of members
which really, that's not too bad. It's like $21 a person, depending on if there's like about 8 people. That's not bad. See, I thought,
no,
that's not bad.
No. And look, if you're a golfer, you're kind of like hostage out there. Like whether you're on a private club or public course, like you're hostage for several hours out there, and you're willing to pay a premium for convenience, right? And sometimes it's even more than convenience. It's like, I love this like clubhouse sandwich that our club makes here. They make this awesome BLT or whatever it is. You're like, I want that. I don't really want to just like jam a hot dog or a burger down my throat just because it's convenient, and I don't want to back up the pace of play behind me. So. This really unlocks just really unique stuff. And one of our clubs is really notorious for like their lobster rolls, and they just like sell so many lobster rolls. And that is just like a game changer.
Well,
You're just not going to get that.
The ability to order a lobster roll somewhere is always a big deal. And the fact to be like on the golf course and you're going to bring it to me, it's like, hell yeah.
100%. Yeah. I'll do that 10 out of 10 times. Like there's no limit to how many lobster rolls we'll eat, I'm sure. I'm getting you on the same boat.
76% drinks, the order breakdowns. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And hot dogs only 3%. Thank you, baby Jesus, because those should be last resort.
Yeah, look, I think it's just indicative of how much golfers want more variety. Like they don't want to live on hot dogs. And, honestly, we have so many orders in our app that so few of them contain hot dogs or even just like basic domestic beers. Like people want more variety. They want craft items. They want fresh items. They want healthy items. There's a lot of salads and healthier type sandwiches in our app that people just never click on the hot dog button. Even though it's there, they don't want it.
Well, at that point, you almost feel like you can't, because if everyone's getting wraps around you, it's like, oh, I'll get like the ballpark Frank. It's like, all right.
Yeah, look, if you play more than like once a week, that hot dog gets old real quick. Even if you're like a public course, you're just looping around.
In not, for anything, it's like, you're out there, it's hot, and then you're maybe not drinking the best stuff. Now you're putting hot dogs in your butt.
Of course.
Like, yo, you are,
yeah.
Later, you're asking for not a good night. I don't know. That's
just right. Yeah, I'm a big reflux guy. If you ever give me like a pig in a blanket at like a cocktail reception or something, I've learned that in my years in the entertainment business, and I'd always enjoy cocktail hour, will never eat a pig in a blanket again.
I think when I was a kid, something with like the cab, like I don't know why I just can't do it. A pig in a blanket. Like I know what it is. Yeah. I think it's just like a weird. Right. I just can't do it.
Yeah, it's medieval is what it is. Hot dogs are medieval in general, and it's time to innovate.
Like the gourmet hot dog, stop it,
right?
Stop it,
right?
What is it? Hebrew National? Okay, like that's
right.
I mean, we're still.
I think Nathan's. I would. Yeah, right. If I ever do it, it's Nathan's. I think they're 100% beef. Right, so that's a good one. Yeah, if you had a ball game, that's usually where you find those.
There's nothing else. Like it's same thing. You're like locked into $30 chicken fingers or that $15 Nathan's.
Yeah. So golfers are it's a captive audience, and there's just so much room for innovation and opportunity to enhance experiences. And this is the generation. I think this is where the industry's heading, right? Yeah. Like, how long can we live on the hot dog and just all of these bottlenecks and like without having digital way to order?
So like when we were talking earlier, I can't golf. I can play any other sport. I can't hit this damn ball. I'm going to slowly start working on it though.
Awesome. Let's do it.
I went to a friend's bachelor party in Florida, and I forget what course or whatever it was. It wasn't like the most expensive, wasn't the cheapest. It was like a decent course from their standards. Nice. But the same thing, like, the whole drink, like you are locked in, and the weather wasn't great. And granted, it was like August, but like nobody really came by. It's, so it was, and then like we finally found like a bathroom. Like it was like such a strange, and like I forget if I had to pay or not. Even though I didn't golf, I just like sat there and like heckled people because they all brought they all looked really good. They looked so good, and they had really nice stuff, but they played so bad. And
it's a common theme, yeah.
But
well, look, I mean, it can be enjoyable as a social experience, right? Like I think a lot of people play for different reasons, and I think the more people learn about our technologies, there are a lot of guys like yourself. They're like, normally I wouldn't play, but this sounds a lot more fun. Like this sounds more like a Topgolf experience where it's social and there's food and beverage. And, even if I just like take a couple swings here or there, or if I play terribly and I'm just trying to play, like, it's okay. At least we're out here having some laughs and some fun. And
well, I think, and then I was for me, just being on, I don't want to say the sidelines a little bit more, but even like some of the other people who were playing weren't like diehard golf. And you can tell at some point we're like, oh man, I can really use like a snack or something. Like, we're just like, and then even cause like, at one point the weather got bad. So we had to like pull off to the side and wait. So we're like, oh man, if we could have ordered some drinks right now or like a little like snack, because I think they stopped play for like a little, I forget how it all worked. I don't know if the carts were just like, you can't go anymore.
Right.
But it was one of those, I was like, oh man, it would have been real nice to, I think one of the guys may have went back to the clubhouse and got, and I'm not 100% sure, but I was like at that point, like this is even before knowing about ClubGrub and everything. I was like, this would have been so nice to have. Like, I'm surprised it's not a more common thing.
Yeah. I thought the same too when we started this process. Like this has kind of been on my radar for like a decade, right? I'm like, why is this such a pain in the butt to like get food and drinks during your round? And if you do get it, it's just like boring stuff, right? Like we're saying hot dogs, Miller Lights, all that stuff. Just very like ordinary stuff, even when you can get it. And sometimes there are cash transactions. If you're at a public course, it's like, there's like 30 different pain points and like bottlenecks, right? And it was just really about like, how do we just make this a more inviting experience too, right? For guys like yourself that are like, hey, I'm here for a bachelor party, or maybe I'm just interested. I'd like to learn how to play or get out there, but like, why do I need to starve? Or, it's just a lot of, it's very traditional. There's a lot of opportunity to really like improve the experience out here and make it a win-win too. Not just like a better experience for golfers, but for clubhouses and clubs to generate more revenue for them. Like we're given, our return on investment for our platform is 10x or more typically. And, we're just excited to go out there and innovate the experience for golfers. At the same time, we're helping clubs and people that don't necessarily want to take call-in orders or, get bombarded at the turn by people that they don't expect coming. They don't know what that order is going to be. And it's stressful on them while the customer is just like hovering over them while they're trying to make sandwich or whatever they're doing, because that golfer doesn't want to hold up pace of play. Nobody wants to do that. And it's just kind of a stressful experience for everyone, to be honest with you.
Now, does the app also give that data of like, I think you probably know what like words I'm looking for, but I'm not used to like talking about them, but like, all of this, the timing, all of that, can clubs get that data from it and utilize it? Like knowing like, hey, normally when people start around this time, that means people, we're probably going to get some orders around here. Like, does it give that, what's that word I'm looking for?
It's like, I guess like analytics and, that's part of it. Or, I guess, but yeah. So it gives a lot of information that those particular elements we're actually adding to it as we speak too. So, more predictable, insight about like, where things are happening, where they can so they can allocate resources accordingly. Like what are the, obviously we have like top selling items and customer, who are their top members, like how many times are they ordering, how much are they selling per order? So, our platform increases ticket averages pretty significantly, compared to, if you're just selling hot dogs, and now you can sell, $15, $20 sandwiches and $15 cocktails versus $5 beers and $2 hot dogs. So, when you expand the menu and offer higher ticket menu items, your ticket averages obviously increase too. So all of that stuff is in there as well. We want to give, as many tools and insights as we can to our club partners to help them optimize their systems and save on labor costs a little bit too. You don't need to be overstaffing necessarily, especially on off days like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, or off seasons. If you have a down season and stuff, you don't need to be full staff. Some of those seasonal people you can let go until the following season and stuff like that too. So there's some cost savings in there as well.
And then some other ones you sent me.
Yeah.
Beverage cart mileage, 30 to 40 miles a day.
Yeah. So let's talk about this.
That does make sense. Like some of these courses are massive.
Right. And even still, it's not even necessarily the massiveness of it. It's the inefficiency of this cooler on wheels, right? Like if you understand how they work, and look, I don't know if there's anybody deeper in the weeds of golf, food, and beverage than myself, right? Like I've been studying this for years, done market research. I talk to every single person I can find, and I try to understand like where are the pain points? How can we help you? And if you understand how a beverage cart works, it basically starts from the 18th green, drives to the 18th tee, goes to the 17th green. It almost plays the course backwards, right? And they drive in circles through the course, essentially, starting with 18 green, working your way all the way back to the first tee. And they're driving around this dinosaur on wheels, hoping to find the right member at the right time with the right product. And that just seems kind of silly, right? In 2023, almost 2024, just aimlessly driving around, let's be honest. and you have to bug each golfer as you drive by. You're like, hey, you guys good? You good? You good? And like these guys, they're just trying to enjoy the round.
Trying to putt. Frank, you want another one?
Right. And then if you actually have to deal with that transaction, then it's like, okay, you got to ask like, okay, what do you have on the cart today? What's available? And then she has to go open the coolers and tell you what's in there. And then you have to like actually order it and pay for it. Or, if it's a private club, obviously they just take your information, but it's such an inefficient system. And Yeah, it's a dinosaur. It's a medieval experience. People are thirsty. Here's this cooler on wheels that's going to drive around in circles, maybe find you with a mediocre menu.
And I don't know if this is like counterintuitive, but you can also still have both. But I think,
Yes.
at that point, just have a beverage cart or like, whatever system you have, but maybe just make it more streamlined. Like it's just, a light beer, a high, it's like a very minimal, but it's like, so, if you're going to go, you're not stopping and here's everything we have. It's, we have Tito's, we have Jack, it's just like the basics,
Right.
of every, like a couple beers, waters, sodas.
Yeah, for sure. Look, they can use our platform as their own independent POS, like on the Bev cart, and they can just basically order directly from the Bev cart, never even touch the clubhouse. The Bev cart just knows exactly where they're at. And that depends on the course too. If you're like a mountain course, that's going to be really tricky. But, I would say 95% of courses could definitely operate that way as well. And some definitely do. The majority of our partners actually don't use Bev carts at all. They just use a standard golf cart and they just run from A to B all day. They just run orders right out to the members, and they can run 5-10 orders out at a time if they really need to. So, they'll basically, how it works is it's just like Uber Eats or DoorDash for clubs, right? So golfer scans the QR code, they download the app, it takes 2 seconds, then they instantly see the menu, what's available at that course. And even if they're bouncing around from course to course, they can still do the same thing. So they place their order. If it's a semi-private club or a daily fee course, they can pay right in the app with, Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay, all that good stuff. And then it shares their live location. So as they continue moving about, somebody on outside services or their order runner just grabs that order from the restaurant and just shoots it right out to that member or that golfer and drops it right off. So it's a completely frictionless, painless experience. All those pain points that we discussed before, like out the window. And, and this is a big revenue boost for these clubs too. They're really seeing a nice healthy spike. Some of them upwards of 30-40% for on-course sales. And they can use this a number of ways, whether it's just on-course delivery or just order ahead. So golfers can grab and go at the turn, or like we mentioned before, lunch or dinner to go as well for the family. So there's a few different ways that they're able to kind of optimize the technology to boost their own revenues while offering game-changing experiences at the same time.
And then mileage drops. So I'm just going through all this. So if you, from Bev cart to ClubGrub, half the mileage. You go from 35 to 40
right.
to 15 to 20.
So the average Bev cart goes about 35 to 40 miles per day. It's about 6 or 7 loops through the course. So when we were talking about that kind of reverse driving, throughout the day, that drives about 6, it's usually about 6 miles or so, 6 and change. It depends on the course. So they drive, on average, close to 40 miles per day, just driving this cooler on wheels through the course. And with ClubGrub, you don't need to drive around aimlessly. You're only driving out there when you have a purpose. and because you can juggle multiple orders at once, you can serve several members or several groups at the same time on one loop through there. So, the mileage reduces significantly, and less distraction. And, obviously a little greener too, and more cost efficient as well. I mean, Bev carts aren't really cheap either. I don't think the Bev, the companies that manufacture them make a ton on them anyway, but it's kind of been the only solution we've had in the last 50 years to adequately serve members or golfers on the course. So when you're operating more efficiently and able to know where your golfers are and shoot right to the people that need something, then that saves a lot of useless driving for sure.
This is crazy. That's wild. And just to start wrapping things up, how, I love technology. I love softwares. I love all that stuff. And I know onboarding new softwares, new things is always the absolute worst. I can't tell you how many hours I spend on YouTube, learning
right.
different softwares. Like, okay, let me go see how to incorporate these two things. What's the onboarding and startup time for ClubGrub? What's the, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, this is something clubs can innovate and do today. This isn't something that takes months or takes weeks. Most of our club partners are up and running in 30 minutes, 60 minutes max, with a full menu. We have a online portal where they basically log in, they click a couple popular menu options. They can upload all of those as well, all of their own with images, or they can use stock images as well. And honestly, it's usually under an hour, and they're up and running, ready to accept their first mobile order. So this is something they can do today. We also assist with promoting it to their membership as well, through email, signage, QR codes, whatever they need. We're experts in this space, so we know exactly what they need. How we can support them to really just hit the ground running from day one, and be in the 21st century, ready to go.
And what's the conversion rate? Like, so how many like members use it? What, for the people who download the app, like how many people actually use it and order things? And
yeah, that's a great question. I mean, members love our app. Our in-app conversion rate's about 70%, 71%. So if we get this app on your member's phone, they're going to use it. And it's just that easy to use. All they really do is put in their phone number, their name, and their member ID, so you know who to bill. That's really all they need to do. From there, they're automatically connected to your menu. And it's just so easy to use at that point. All of the categories, the kitchen, the bar items are there, the food menu items are there. They click that. They click on the customization, or what we call modifiers. So, if you want your burger medium rare or whatever, or a different type of cheese, clubs have that ability to offer all of those customizations in app, so they don't need to sit on a phone and take all these orders. Do you want that with cheese, without cheese? Which one do you want? All that stuff. It happens in real time, and it saves their favorites too. So when it's time to reorder, they just tap a few buttons and they can order that exact same menu item with those customizations the way they like it.
See, and then my head goes, because when we were talking earlier, I think it was off the interview, just there's like 30-40% revenue increase. Is, probably some of that revenue comes from, I'm just spitballing, and we didn't talk about this before, so I don't know, but like, the extras, like, oh, do you want, like, double meat? Or, I'm sure that if the clubs who do that, who charge extra for like, after so many, pickle, after so many, you have to charge more. Hey, instead of just having your standard $15 order, now there's a extra side of fries, chips and, extra bacon. So now it's at $18 or $20
right,
compared to, so you just jumped 30%.
Yeah, there's upsells and not only in the food items, but beverages too. For the premium cocktails, or if you like a particular brand of spirit, I'm a Grey Goose guy when it comes to vodka. So, there's all of those opportunities to kind of upsell within the technology as well. And that's where those ticket averages really soar and profits soar as well. This doesn't need to be a subsidized space anymore at clubs. This can be a revenue generator. I guarantee it. You'll definitely make your money back and then some. And like I said, some of our partners are making like 10x on what our platform actually costs them.
Really?
Yeah.
And as we wrap things up here, when we were talking the first time, we were talking about the app. I was like, hey, let's do something fun, just about cool stats about on-course deliveries. So that's just where some of like this fun stuff came from. And to me, I would hope clubs can then go, if they have some sort of similar service, or like they use their own sort of things. Hey, it'd be neat just to compare. But you just made a killer offer. And that was my thing for you also is, hey, if we're going to come on and do something neat, you got to give the listeners something amazing. And you went out of your way. This is an amazing offer. If anybody's interested in ClubGrub, why don't you tell them the offer?
Yeah, definitely. So we'll take $500 off your first year. I'm going to waive any of the activation fees, and we're going to give you a free iPad as well. That way you can get set up and hitting the ground running like today, not tomorrow, not the next day. You can be ready today, ready to innovate and deliver some game-changing experiences for your members and adapt to the next generation that's right on our doorstep.
That's bonkers. That's so good. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Denny.
And you're based out of the New York City area, so NYC.
That's it. We're just out. Exactly. I'm in White Plains here in Westchester. We cover a lot of our portfolios up here in the Northeast, but we're also expanding down to Florida and even to Ireland pretty soon too. So some really exciting times. We're fast growing, and we're just ready to help clubs and do some really cool stuff in this space. It's long overdue, but we're ready to help clubs innovate and better serve their members and get more profitable at the same time.
Cool beans. So if anybody's interested, head on over to clubgrub.com. Reach out to Spencer.
ClubGrubApp.com.
ClubGrub app. I'll edit that out.
Yeah, I wanted to say that again. Yeah, go for it.
So if anyone's interested, they could head on over to clubgrubapp.com, mention Private Club Radio, and they get that bartle do of an offer.
That's exactly correct. I look forward to helping your listeners. That's great. You have a great show here.
Appreciate you coming on, sir.
All right. Thanks, Denny.
Hope you all enjoyed that episode. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, give a rating, a review. And if you're interested in that killer offer, head on over to clubgrubapp.com. Reach out to Spencer, mention Private Club Radio, and you can get your $500 off, free activation, and a free iPad. Catch y'all on the flippity flop. Flip flop anonymous. Ba-ba-da-ba.